I keep sharing a lot of tips and strategies about process of studying abroad, etc. So I figured that why not share something more about my journey, something more personal today. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how I made it from a tier 2 or tier 3 kind of college in India all the way to UIUC. So I'll talk about my journey from a middle class family, an unknown college in central India to UIUC. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Nistha from Scholar Strategy. By the way, recently we crossed 100,000 followers on LinkedIn also, and there I post more like text posts, more advice about exams, etc. and study abroad, my conversations with students, etc. So if you're interested in following my professional journey on LinkedIn, do follow me or connect with me there. Alright, so coming back to today's video, which is about my journey from a very mediocre college in India all the way to UIUC, which was ranked 5th best university in computer science at that point of time. So how did it happen? And I'm just sharing this not in order to brag. I don't think there's anything to brag. It's more for sharing that if I can do it, I know many of you can do it as well. So I hope it will give more momentum to your dreams and it will encourage you to dream bigger like I did. So for my journey, I'm going to cover it in 6 points. I'll talk more about my education and personal background. Then I will talk about my foray into engineering and particularly the field of networks. Then I will talk about the decision of choosing to study abroad. Then I'll talk about disappointment after getting all rejects, joining a job and reapplying, and finally getting into UIUC. So let's talk about these things one by one. Coming to my educational and personal background, I come from a middle class family in the state of Madhya Pradesh. My father was a state government employee, and as a result, he used to get transferred very frequently. So by the time I joined 9th class, I had already been to 9 different schools, all in Madhya Pradesh, and in very, very small towns, you will not even have heard the name. So I've studied in like very, very small places. But one advantage I feel because of this was that I've always been able to adjust to new places pretty easily. So I never had adjustment issues, and probably that's something that really helped me as I moved from India to US and again all the way back to India and then traveling as a digital nomad to so many countries. So I have always felt home wherever you leave me. Let's talk about my academic qualification. I've always been blessed to be a studious academic kind of a student, and I took math and bio both in my class 11th because the idea was let's keep the options open. And frankly, I actually enjoyed bio and math both. I was good at both of them. So I didn't really want to drop any of those subjects. So I felt that let's go with both of them. And my father always wanted me to become a doctor, and I wanted to keep the option of engineering open as well. But anyways, as it happened, I cleared both state level medical and engineering exam, and they were called differently back in my days. They were called PET and PMT, pre-engineering test and pre-medical test, which is instead of NEET and what we have now. So I had cracked them both. I had admission from NIT Bhopal, and I had admission to medical college in Indore, which was considered pretty good. It was the best college in Madhya Pradesh. But one thing I do feel is that because I was going for both these exams, I could not do very well at either of them. For example, I was not able to crack JEE or I was not able to crack AIMS, which I don't know, maybe if I had focused only on one thing, I might have been able to crack both of them, but no regrets anyhow. So anyways, my father was keen that I become a doctor, but somehow I ended up choosing the engineering option. My brother had already gone for his medical education, and I felt in family, I should go for something different. And engineering seemed very cool at that point. Computer science was really gaining a lot of traction in those days. So I felt engineering was the way to go. I chose engineering, no regrets there. So that is how I joined Indore, GSITS Indore. So I chose Indore over Bhopal because we were living in Indore. It was more convenient for me to do that, I suppose. And GSITS was the second best college in Madhya Pradesh. So I went ahead with it. So let's talk about my foray into engineering and choosing networks as an area of interest. So because I had not taken computer science till that point, I was not a coder kind of a person, and I felt somehow that did not work out too well for me because it took me time to decide on what really engineering or computer science is about. about, do I like coding, what are the different areas in there. So I never was a geek coder kind of a person as opposed to some of my classmates. So I feel like if you have started coding or computer science in school itself, then you are like, more aware about it by the time you reach college. But I had done no coding before then. So ultimately it took me some time to figure out my interest, and as it happens in India, quality of teachers was pretty mediocre. So networks just happened by chance. Cisco had opened up this academy in our college, and I enrolled for their CCNA certification. I completed it with good scores and all, and I was in good terms with my networking prof. So somehow that became my area of interest, and that is how I picked networks. But otherwise there was not much thought behind it. So which again I feel like, in college I think you should start really thinking about what are the subjects that are exciting me. Is it AI? Is it more like systems and networking side? Is it more like algorithm side? And then go deeper into that so that you can build a better profile in it and also explore the interests more deeply, do some more good work in it, which really helps with the applications later on. So that is how I got started into networking, but somehow I'm still glad that my profile got specialized in something which really helped me in my applications. Let me then talk about choosing to study abroad, which again happened more like serendipitously, I would say. So given my family background, it was like, very grounded kind of family, mostly government servants. So people were not even working in these private companies and all. So there was not much exposure on what else is out there, and I definitely did not know. I somehow knew that I don't want to go for MBA because I absolutely did not understand what management students are doing, or why should I go for CAT, like what will I do after MBA. And I was a fairly academic kind of student. I did enjoy the tech subjects as well. So I did want to get more of education because I was a good student, and I did feel that US universities or universities abroad would be much better, and there was always that prestige factor of Harvard and all those things. So I was attracted towards that. So study abroad, but really my mind got made up because one of our seniors had gotten into UIUC when I was in first years, and he had come to give us a talk about it. I still remember, I think his name was Anand Raghunathan or something. So that really motivated me that okay, a student from my college is going to UIUC. It was a big news in our college, so that really encouraged me. And because I was the topper in my batch, I was doing well, and I had cracked a really good score in GRE. I think back in my days the scoring used to happen out of 2400, and I had scored 2320, which was pretty good. My GPA was 4 out of 4. So I felt like I had a shot at good universities, and that's how my mind started becoming more focused on masters, because some of my interesting seniors were also going for masters, and life in US seemed pretty cool. So I started thinking about that option more seriously and dropped out of that MBA is not for me. I never thought I will join a job directly. The plan was to get into a prestigious universities and go directly for masters. So again here I feel that do this kind of introspection in college, talk to seniors, expose yourself to different streams, and whatever attracts you, even if it's MBA, do think about what will you do after MBA, what's your career goal after that. Rather than thinking of MS or MBA, you should be thinking of in terms of career goal. What is the career that attracts me? Do I want to work at a company like Facebook and Google in a tech role? Do I want to be a banker? Do I want to be a management consultant? Or do I want to be a VC? Because that will then help you decide what is better for you, MBA, MS, or should you directly go for a job. Let's now talk about my first application cycle and how I was extremely disappointed after getting all rejections. So I applied to 10 schools in my final year, and I got 9 rejections. Only acceptance was University of Kansas, which was so low ranked, and I felt my profile was good enough that I didn't really want to go to that kind of university. So I decided that I will again reapply next year. I feel that my profile was mediocre, but still my GPA was high, my GRE score was very good, some of my projects were okay, I had a good profile around in networking, we had done a paper presentation, some state level paper presentations, etc. And my teachers were very happy with me, so they were willing to write whatever I wanted them to write in the LOR. So I thought that I deserved a better admit, and that is the reason I decided to reapply. But it was also a reality check, and it just told me that things are not that easy and I cannot take it for granted. And also it made me realize the importance of LORs, because I feel like LORs is one thing I messed up in that first year, because I did not have good guidance. And I think one of my teachers wrote extremely favorable LOR. It sounded like very fake, and probably that also did not go down well with the admission committee. Then let's talk about joining a job and reapplying. So as I had decided, my heart was pretty set on masters by that point of time. Luckily, I had sat for campus placements, and I also had a job offer from this IT services company. It was CSC. It was a company headquartered in US, but they had offices in Indore and Noida in India those days, and they were also offering the best package on campus those days, and it was a meager 3 lakh per annum kind of package. But I did sit for the placements because I wanted to see where I stand, and I think that was a good decision because I had this backup option in my hand. I had this job offer. I could always join them after graduation. So I felt that worked out well for me. That further gave me the confidence to not go to University of Kansas and decide to reapply. Okay, so I joined this job, and I knew that I will again reapply for next year. So I did that, and it, I think, enhanced my profile because it added this professional dimension to my profile. I could talk about some industrial projects. I could get an industrial LOR from my manager. So all those things I think worked out in my favor, and also the fact that I was reapplying, I reiterated my interest in UIUC and other universities which I applied to, and I feel that my profile probably made the cut because I was in this pool where I was coming from tier 2, tier 3 college, a female with excellent scores, with some professional experience as well, and probably that's why I made the cut. So I felt that failure is not always bad, and while the rejections sting when they happen, sometimes they can put you back on track. So you should never give up and keep planning forward. Finally getting into UIUC. So my reapplications were pretty successful. I had 4 or 5 offers this time. I had a fully funded PhD offer from University of Riverside. I had some offer from University of Tennessee, Knoxville also. And I had my dream admit from UIUC, which I absolutely could not believe at that point of time. So it was really all that patience had finally paid dividends, and I was really so glad that I decided to wait a year and again reapply. So this is just again to in case some of you are facing a lot of rejections out there, know that it is not the end of the world. Just figure out a plan ahead, and if you're really passionate about masters, you can always reapply. I do think reapplicants have a better chances of admit if you can show that your profile has increased well enough in that last 1 year. I think it can work out in your favor. So getting to UIUC, of course, getting an admit was fine, but then it was pretty costly. I think it was going to cost something around 50 lakh or something, which was a huge amount for us. For my dad was only working as a government servant, my mother was not working. So yes, it was a big decision, but I'm so thankful to my father. He has always encouraged me to do what I believe in, and he decided we will take a loan, but he wanted me to go abroad and explore all my dreams, and none of this would be possible without his blessing. So I'm so blessed to be having such a supportive family. But anyways, that happened. I took an education loan, but it was a calculated risk at my point, because I did reach out to a lot of seniors at UIUC because I was in double minds. I thought maybe I should go to University of California Riverside and not worry about anything, but my senior said that, hey, it's UIUC, you should definitely go. So I emailed a lot of seniors at UIUC, and I found out that university was very well funded, and all the master's students end up getting some sort of funding. Somebody was working as a RA, somebody was working as a TA, and nobody was paying their tuition. So it gave me the confidence that I should try this option out. So take an education loan, go there, and then try to find funding, which I luckily did. So I never had to I sent back that loan check right away, and I did not have to spend a dime on my education. So very, very thankful for that. And that is how I made to UIUC. It was not a straight line. I was a reapplicant, and there was a lot of moments when I doubted myself. But in the end, that was my journey in brief. And now I do, to be frank, I do think it was much easier in my time. The competition is much more fierce right now, and but I would say you never know until you try. So I'm glad I tried. I hope it inspires people in tier 2 cities, small towns, and people from non-IITs, non-NITs to also dream bigger, and you can land into good universities if you work hard and if you're focused towards it. So I hope it helps you, and I hope I see many more people like me, especially girls, making their dreams come true. So that was it from my side. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave them in the comment box below. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.